I thought I was saved at the age of 10 when the pastor of our Colorado church quickly dunked me in the water and declared me baptized. I actually don't know if I was 10. I just thought about that, but it was sometime early when I lived in Colorado. But it was my understanding that since baptism was what led to salvation, and I had memorized John 3:16, I had checked the box that would lead me down the narrow path into my Savior's arms. My mom encouraged us spiritually, but I was a cultural Christian bearing no fruit and coasting on the hollow promise I had made to Christ in exchange for an easy and happy life. I rejected community with the church and chose fellowship with the world. I embraced a life of moralism. I was okay. The thought of me being a bad person would have never crossed my mind because I had no concept of how grievous my sin was to a perfect, righteous, and holy God that created me. I lived a life devoid of contentment, dictated by feelings, and chasing happiness that the world kept promising that I would find. On March 27th, 2001, my little brother passed away in a car accident. My mom was driving the car. I had known her to be one of the most joyful people I have ever encountered, almost alarmingly so. She's right back there if anybody wants to say hi. Even in the pain of losing a child, her joy was and still is contagious. I couldn't understand how she was able to press on. It wasn't until June of 2018 when, after my grandma's suicide, I finally listened to the words of the gospel that I had heard so many times. The Lord opened my eyes. He showed me that He is perfect and that His standard is absolute perfection. He showed me the wretchedness of my own heart, the sins I had committed, and that if left to my own strength, I would face eternal separation from Him. I began to understand the weight of the sacrifice that came with Jesus dying for my sins, or dying for the sins of those who came to love Him, taking my sin debt and wiping it clean. I was giving a repentant heart that truly believed that Jesus Christ was my Savior. As I began to walk with Christ, I finally understood how someone could have joy in such suffering. By His grace, I too have joy, knowing that I am no longer a slave to sin. I know my salvation is not a result of my own works, but Christ's finished work on the cross. I cannot wait for the day when I get to go home and be with my Savior, but on this side of heaven, I submit to His will and rejoice that He had mercy on a sinner like me.